Hey guys! Today I'm going to show you how to make a skirt like this. It is super easy, so this won't be an in-depth tutorial, just a guide. It is much simpler to make than you think, and it requires just a little bit of time and patience. For materials, you'll need a crochet thread or a lightweight yarn, and you'll need a considerable amount of it. If you want a sturdier feel and you're using a crochet thread, you can go ahead and double strand your yarn. You'll also want to have somewhere between a 2.5 and a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. There's also a floral grid that I use to make this skirt, which I have available in the description for you guys, as well as you'll need a darning needle, pair of scissors, and of course a rocking playlist. This guide won't have any background music, so you can play your favorite song as you work on your project. I love crocheting with a good song or movie in the background, and maybe you do too. Don't worry, that doesn't mean you won't hear my lovely voice. You will. There just won't be any background music. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Now let's go ahead and get on into our tutorial. So this is just an example, so this won't be nearly as long as what you guys will have. But to start off, first you're going to make a chain that is long enough for you to fit around the widest part of your hip. It is okay for the two ends to overlap a little bit when you wrap it around your body. You just want to make sure that it is long enough to reach all the way around the widest part of your hips. After that, you're going to count 5 chains away from your hook, and you're going to put your first double crochet into the 5th chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is your first mesh box. So then you're going to chain 1, skip the next chain, do 1 double crochet into the chain that follows, and you're going to repeat that all the way down your row. Once you've made it to the end of your row, how you'll go into your next row is you start off with a chain of 4. The first 3 chains count as your first double crochet. Your 4th chain counts as the chain 1 in between. And then you can turn your work, and then you can go ahead and start with putting your first double crochet into the stitch above the previous row's double crochet, and you'll continue your mesh. But before you get into row 2, you want to figure out how many of the mesh boxes that you have in your row, how much of them are going to belong to the actual grid. For the grid that I'm using, it has 60 of these mesh boxes. Now, you don't want to have less than 60 to complete the grid, but it is perfectly fine for you to have more than 60, which is probably what you guys will have. So what you're going to do from after you've done row 1 is count up how many of the mesh boxes you have in your very first row. And then what you can do is take like 2 stitch markers or so and figure out where you want your grid to start and end. You can have your grid placed directly in the center of your project, having equal amounts of open like boxes before you get to the grid part, or you can have it shifted more to one side or another. It's a personal choice, but you do want to make sure that you identify like how many of the mesh boxes are going to be allocated to your grid. Once you've done that, then you can go ahead and just start following the grid. I would say start from the bottom up and just work your way up until you get to the top. After you've done that, then go ahead and come back to this video and I'll show you what to do after that. If you're new to filet crochet, I highly suggest that you go ahead and watch this video first before you focus on finishing this project. I do think it will explain the basics and just give you more clarity before jumping into a project like this, even though it's not so hard to do. But definitely give that a watch and then come back and finish the tutorial. Otherwise, if you are a pro at filet crochet, then just continue on with the video as follows. Once you have completed the grid, and once again, I recommend going from the bottom, working your way up to the top, then what you can do is we're just going to do 1 row of double crochets straight across the top, just to give your skirt a nice clean finish. So you can start off with a chain of 3. Skip the very first chain because that belongs to the double crochet right here, or I should say the chain 3 that is being considered as a double crochet. And then go ahead and put your next double crochet into the chain 1 space. And then just keep repeating that. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then your next double crochet into the chain 1 space after that. And you're just going to keep working that until you get to the end of this row. Once you have done 1 row of double crochets along the very top of your skirt, I do recommend chaining 1 and turning your work on its side. And then in this very first double crochet, you'll do 2 single crochets. and then go ahead into the side of your very first chain 3 or double crochet, it really depends, but go ahead into the side of that last stitch there and put 2 double crochets, and you'll just repeat that all the way down the side of your work. Then once you get down to the bottom, you're going to turn your work and you'll be looking at your work upside down. Then you'll go ahead and put 1 single crochet into every single last one of these chains from your foundation chain. Turn your work again, and then because you're working on the other side, you're going to put 2 double crochets into the side of each of these stitches here, all the way up till you get to this corner here, and then you can chain 1, pull your yarn through to tighten off, and you'll be done. But that's just to make sure that your edges are nice and clean. I don't like when they look like kind of, I don't know, like weird and bumpy like that. I like them to have a real clean finish. So just go ahead and put double crochets along the other 3 sides of your skirt, and then I'll show you what you guys do from there. Now, I did not finish the single crochets all the way along the perimeter of my work, but as you can see, this one side looks so much better than this one. So definitely don't skip that step. But once you are done that, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your yarn and you're going to reattach it into one of these 2 corners at the top of your skirt. Doesn't matter which one you start off with, but in the very first stitch that you see there, go ahead and connect your yarn, and you're just going to make a really long chain. This chain can be however long you need or want it to be. You just want to make sure that you at least have enough for you to like tie your skirt at your side and make like a cute little, little bow or something. So don't make it too short. But however long you make it on one side, make sure that you do the same length on the other, whether that be from you counting your chains or just from having a tape measure handy and then just measuring it by length. But go ahead and repeat that on both sides. Now, at this point, this is all I did for my skirt. Just go ahead and weave in your ends, but I will say, if you want, so when you put your skirt on, if you like these 2 tied, but you still would like a little bit more of this closed and not so open on the side, what you can do is just figure out distance-wise how much further you want your next round of little ties to be, and then just reconnect your yarn into those points on both sides, and then just do another set of chains. You could do it 1 more time or 2 more times, however many ties you want on your side. I did only do 1, but then just weave in your ends and then you're all good to go. Your skirt is done. This is a really simple project, and I think it is very, very, very beginner friendly. And as always, if you guys make a skirt, definitely make sure that you tag me in any photos or little videos that you post on social media. I would love to see your creations and the color choices that you guys pick. But that is all for today's video. It was a real short and easy one for you guys. So have fun with that, and I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye guys.